All right, today we're going to dive into a fascinating legal puzzle. It all starts with one single, really specific ancient law about self-defense. But as we're about to see, this story is really about how a rule, something that seems written in stone, can be completely and deliberately transformed.
Okay, picture this. It's the middle of the night, you hear a noise. Someone is breaking into your home. You need to defend yourself, right? Now, the law protects you, but what if that protection depended entirely on where in the house you confront the intruder? That simple question, that little word where, is what this entire explainer is all about.
So let's start with that original scene. A burglar, dead of night. It's a classic legal dilemma for sure. But the original law that governed this situation was, as we're about to find out, surprisingly and critically specific.
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to go right to the source material. The Torah, in the book of Exodus, lays out a rule for this exact scenario. So let's take a look at what the original text actually says, word for word. Here it is. The verse says, if the thief is found in the tunnel, there is no blood guilt. Now what this means is that it gives a homeowner legal cover if they have to use lethal force against an intruder. But notice how incredibly specific that is. The protection only applies under this one very precise condition, when the thief is in the tunnel.
And you're probably wondering, what exactly is a masheret? Well, the word literally means a tunnel that a thief digs under a wall to break in. So the argument we're looking at today says the law isn't just about any break-in, it's tied explicitly to this one specific method. The protection is in the tunnel, and maybe only in the tunnel.
Okay, now let's hit the fast forward button. Centuries later, a new group of incredibly influential scholars, known as the Sages, they come along and take a fresh look at this law, and they start asking some really interesting questions. Questions that are going to challenge the very foundation of this rule.
And right here, you can see their thinking process. They ask, I have only the tunnel. From where do I derive the law for his roof, his courtyard? Now, the source we're examining sees this as a huge moment. The sages themselves seem to be saying, look, if you read this text literally, it only covers the tunnel. So what are we supposed to do if the burglar is somewhere else?
And that question, it wasn't just some abstract thought experiment. Oh no, it was the spark that ignited a really dramatic change. Because the sages didn't just ask the question, they answered it. And their answer would stretch this law way beyond its original narrow walls.
And wow, this slide just lays it all out crystal clear. On the left, you've got the original Torah law, laser focused on one word, tunnel. But on the right, that's the new rabbinic ruling. And suddenly, it's not just the tunnel. It's the roof, the courtyard, the whole shebang. The legal protection just completely exploded in scope.
And make no mistake, this wasn't just some academic debate. This new expanded ruling became the new standard, the official Jewish law, the Halakha. So in effect, the sages' version didn't just add a little footnote to the original law. It pretty much replaced it.
So this brings us to the absolute heart of our source's argument. Was this just a creative but still legitimate interpretation of the original text, or was it a conscious and deliberate alteration of the law itself?
Now, to really follow the logic here, you have to start with one key idea, one basic premise, that the Torah is seen as this intentionally precise document. Every single word is there for a reason. There are no wasted words, and every little detail carries serious legal weight.
So building on that premise, the source makes a really powerful point. It offers a simple thought experiment. If the law was actually intended to apply anywhere on the property, couldn't the text have been written a lot more simply, just by leaving out one single word?
I mean, look at this. If you take out the words in the tunnel, the verse would just read, if the thief is found, there is no blood guilt for him. It would have been a totally general rule, applying anywhere, anytime. So why, the source asks, did the Torah waste ink to add that super specific phrase?
From this point of view, the answer becomes kind of obvious, doesn't it? That phrase in the tunnel wasn't just some extra color commentary, it was a deliberate legal fence. The specificity was the entire point. The original law wasn't meant to be broad, it was designed to be narrow.
So let's just trace the logic here one last time. The source argues, 1. The sages knew exactly what the original limited meaning was. 2. They even said it out loud, I have only the tunnel. 3. They then went ahead and expanded the law anyway. So the conclusion drawn from all this is pretty powerful. This wasn't just a creative interpretation. It was a conscious, intentional alteration of the law itself.
And that leaves us with a really profound question. one that echoes through pretty much any legal or religious system. Where do we draw the line between a loyal interpretation that helps a law evolve and a fundamental change that actually rewrites it? It's a huge question about how we honor the past while trying to live in the present. Thanks for digging into this with us today.